In this video, we take a look at some of the Arnold utilities. In the Arnold menu, come down to the Utilities submenu, and here you can find some of those useful utilities. Let's take a look at the Material submenu. And using this Import Material utility, you can import shader networks from ASS or Material X files. If you remember, we exported the interior scene to a .ass file. Now we can import its shaders using this command. So let's select that ASS file. And now its shaders are being imported into the current scene. Also, if you want to export your current shaders to a .ass file or a Material X file, you can use this export command. Let's select all of these shaders, choose Material, Export, and using this format dropdown, you can choose to export your materials to .ass file or Material X file. Let's choose ASS. And in the output path, define where you want to save the file. Let's use the same deleted folder and name it Interior Scene Materials. And then click on this export button, and that's it. Also, you have access to the same commands within an Arnold shader network. If I add a new shader network, from the file menu, we have access to some import and export options if we wanted to export the current shader network or import into the current shader network. Let's choose import and import the .ass file that we just exported. And as you can see, all the shaders in that file are imported into this network. Now from the Utilities menu and Material submenu, we have some very useful conversion commands, which allows us to convert C4D materials into Arnold materials, convert Substance asset to Arnold materials, and replace old and deprecated Arnold shaders with new Arnold shaders. Let's open up Cinema 4D's content browser and search for Creambox and open up this Creambox scene. If I want to convert all of these Cinema 4D materials into Arnold materials, I can simply select all of them. Now from the Utilities menu again, I can convert the Arnold materials, which keeps the original materials but creates a new Arnold material for each one. Or I can use this replace command, which basically turns these C4D materials into Arnold materials without keeping the original materials. Let's use this replace command for now. And now it goes through the materials and turns them into Arnold shaders. The shaders that look black is because they can't find the relative texture path and you need to solve those issues manually. Now next we have this flush caches utility. We talked about auto mip mapping and auto tiling in the previous section. That happens automatically for the textures that are not mip mapped and tiled. If you want to flush those textures info, you can use the flush textures command for all of them or specifically for any texture that is assigned to a sky dome light or a quad light. We talked about pre-populate GPU cache in the GPU rendering lesson. You have this classic bake texture command to bake the texture, shading, illumination, and shadow information of a geometry into an independent texture. Just add the object that you want to bake its texture to this object list, define the output path, resolution, and the format, and click on the bake button. We also have a very useful bake geometry command, which enables you to bake out any selected geometry created during render time to a mesh in OBJ format. So imagine if one of your geometries has a displacement shader applied to it and you want to bake out a displaced version of that geometry or the geometry that is being created during the render. You can use this command, just select the geometry that you want to bake, define the OBJ path, and bake it out. So just first select the geometry, then run the bake geometry command, and then define the OBJ path and click on this bake button. We talked about setup Cryptomatte utility in the Cryptomatte video in the rendering section. So in this video, we learned about some of the available utilities in Arnold. See you in the next video.